It's time for Lefties Losing It, and it's been a while since we featured AOC in this segment. Let's rectify that. Here is the diabolically ill-informed young socialist campaigning for a communist, Mandani. Hope you've got your earplugs handy because it's about to get real screechy.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island.
Oh, wow. Now, AOC was also keen to trumpet how sane she is, how sane the mad left are who are supporting Zoran. I don't think even she believes what she's saying.
But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
Let's see how sane they are. Let's hear from another Zoran Mandani supporter who obviously values inclusion, tolerance and respectful dialogue and, of course, sanity.
You turn on a nasty Israeli song.
You're talking. He's attacking us. Could you please have somebody?
That's a lie. You're monsters.
Because I'm a Jew.
Oh dear, that was unpleasant. But this next Zoran fangirl is actually far more frightening because she used to be a judge. Yes, a judge whose judgment is obviously warped.
He's young and he's a person of color. I think he's going to make an amazing mayor. I'm very excited about him.
Are you worried about safety or anything with him being?
Not at all. Not at all. Because I think he's got it right. I think the police are the police and we need social workers to deal with some mental health problems.
Mental health problems, lady, like an elderly woman wearing signs about the face of fascism. Do tell me more.
Are you worried about your taxes going up?
No.
You support him so much that you'd be okay with your taxes going up?
Yes. I would be. If there's any chance of saving New York as a place for working people to live, he's going to be the one to do it. He's a democratic socialist. That's not Russian or Chinese. He's for health care for all. If that's socialism, then maybe we have to redefine what socialism is.
So it's not like Venezuelan socialism?
No, not at all. I used to be a judge. I was a New York State Supreme Court justice.
Now to former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who was uniquely terrible at the job. Now she's written a book, and I don't know if you've heard, but she's black and she's queer.
Black woman, as a person who's also LGBTQ.
As a black woman, I am a black woman, I am a queer woman, I am an immigrant. Being a black woman,
As a black woman myself, that is the thing that I understood as a black woman, is that I meant a lot to people because of the communities that I represented. And whether it was women of color, black women, queer community, LGBTQ community, immigrant.
and as a black woman, and I have my queerness too.
Yes, being black and queer is the only answer she seems to have, well, to every question. DEI and the Biden administration's obsession with identity politics is how she got the job. And for Karine, it's the only thing that matters. It's the answer to every question. And to show how absurd this is, let's look at just one example. I'm not going to bore you for any more, but just one example from that compilation. Let's see how she answers a question about regrets.
Karine, do you have any regrets at all for anything that you said while you were speaking on behalf of this administration?
Look.
It's a simple yes or no. You don't even know.
Because you're asking for a yes or no question. I want to put some context to it too. I woke up every day. I woke up every day very proud to be the White House press secretary. I woke up every day as a black woman who is queer.
Now let's hear from a couple of certifiable liars, MSNBC anchor Nicole Wallace and the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Listen to this.
I haven't suggested that Donald Trump is Hitler. I wouldn't say
I don't
that
think any Democrat has. I actually, and I think it's a smear that they project back on to critics.
What now? No Democrat has called or suggested Donald Trump is Hitler. Excuse me?
Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book.
From John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist.
Where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa.
And to be praising Adolf Hitler is dangerous and it's also disgusting.
So just to be clear, when you said we do agree, President Biden believes that Donald Trump is a fascist?
I mean, yes.
He is paving the way to become a Vladimir Putin or to become an Adolf Hitler or a Kim Jong-un. That's what he wants to be.
Yeah, but Nicole Wallace and JB Pritzker want you to believe that no Democrat would dare liken Trump to Hitler. It's a smear campaign. Does JB Pritzker think we forgot all about this?
What I know is in the early days of the Nazi regime, they started slowly but surely taking away people's rights. And what we're seeing now is the very same thing.
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders. This is literally the end of the republic as we know it.
Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, why do they lie like that? I mean, everything is on video. They have been likening Donald Trump to Hitler for 8 years, if not longer, and yet they are now saying it's a smear campaign.
I think because they're out of options. They really are. Because they did do it for 4 to 5 years initially from when he descended on that golden escalator. It reached a fever pitch in those 4 years where he was sort of deplatformed and planning his comeback. And then he succeeded. He won and he's back. So they don't have the option to rewrite history the way they might have otherwise if he had actually been in the dustbin of history. Since he's back, he's more powerful, won in a landslide. They only have one option left, which is to deny it. But as you say, we live in this era of ubiquitous video. It doesn't work, and we can do these things all day long. And I think despite that, they have nowhere else to go.
I could have played you hours of footage if I wanted to of them doing precisely that. And it's such a cheap tactic. It's the sort of thing you do when you've got no options, but they have been doing it consistently, as you said. Now, let's have a look at democracy Californian style.
Downtown Los Angeles, you've got it behind us, if you can see. It's a big, big day for California politics, but not so big when it comes to turnout. That's something that we were expecting as we were going into primary day here. I'm going to take you inside here. It's going to get very dark because this is kind of a black box theater here, but come on in. This is where the polling location is. Most of the people that we've seen so far today have come in and they've dropped off their ballots. California does that incredible job of mailing most of those ballots.
Kosha, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Explain what that is. Why is it so dark? Why the mass mail out? Why aren't there lines of people voting in person? What is that?
The dark thing, I thought it was a parody for a minute. I don't know why they're in this like dungeon room. The mail-in, why nobody's turning out is, I think, first of all, these local off-cycle elections have lower turnout, but I think people are just actually fed up. There's a big chunk of the California electorate, left-wing though it may be overall, that just doesn't feel inspired by any of the options, and they're not turning out. The mail-in balloting has been a long-standing strategy of the left, extending the number of days you can vote before, counting ballots for days after, and it's all, part of what their strategy is to try and get out the vote in the part of the electorate that votes for them. But I think the big picture, if you zoom out, is trust in elections and election integrity is low in America. It was, and especially for Republicans, which is half the country, very important, one half of the country. It was 23% or so after 2020. It's improved now, but it's still in the 40s. That is overhanging, even in left-wing places like California. And when you do things like this and extend mass mail-in balloting and allow votes to be counted after the fact and don't clean up dirty voter rolls when dead people or illegals or all sorts of people are on there, it is not doing anything to help that. And that is a very problematic thing for a democracy, as they love to always remind us we are.
Now, let's go to New York, and the Socialist mayor candidate there, Zoran Mandani, has been forced to clarify comments about his aunt not using the subway in New York City due to post-9/11 Islamophobia. Remember this?
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Zoran Mandani made those comments a few days ago, and very quickly social media users identified his aunt and noted that she neither wore a hijab nor lived in the US during the period he was talking about. So Zoran Mandani has clarified earlier today. He said, "I was speaking about Zehra Fouhi, my father's cousin, who passed away a few years ago." So there you go, Kosha. It was not so much his aunt as his dad's cousin. So I don't know if in his culture everyone's called aunt and uncle, or whether he was just adding a little mayonnaise to that story to make it a bit more, I don't know, poignant.
There might be some truth to the first bit.
It doesn't have the same ring to it as my dad's cousin didn't want to catch the subway.
Next, it'll be his, his neighbor's pet, and then his high school friend's uncle or what have you didn't like, police or whatever his issue of the day is. It could be that there's a little bit of that. The culture uses those terms, rather loosely, but it doesn't have the same zing. The internet is incredible at finding these things out. Video is ubiquitous, as we were just saying, and he, with those crocodile tears, he really is. I mean, we know he's on a glide path to victory, and he really is an actor, I have to say, and a good one, a very good one. And that's why he's hitting those things. And even if after the fact the internet solves these mysteries or calls him out, it doesn't matter because he's doing what he needs to do to get this thing in the bag, because that's where it's headed.
How boldly confident or arrogant would you have to be in the position he's in? He's about to be the mayor of New York City, to pull out that story, to go with it. I mean, it offended so many people, even if it was accurate, which there's some major question marks. I didn't believe it from the start. But, this is a city that was devastated. 3,000 people died. And the impact of that terrorist attack lingers to this day. And he's talking about his aunt and shedding tears about some supposed aversion to public transport, as if that's some massive injustice, when people that lost their lives, thousands of people were murdered.
3,000 people, and so insulting. You're right that he has it in the bag, so he doesn't need to do these cheap tricks. I can only surmise that he has vast political ambitions. This is a stepping stone. We're not seeing the last of him, career-wise. Him, AOC, all these people are very young. And many people have likened him to Obama in a way that, yes, it's about winning an election, but it's also about just making your brand and really trying to instigate the issue set that you want to attach yourself with. And it is this one, notwithstanding that he's sitting in New York City where it's so insulting to do that. Also very conveniently using one side of the heritage. So Obama famously always, lead into his black side, not his white mother and grandmother who raised him. Same here. His mother is Hindu and is a very elite filmmaker. Never talks about that side. He's got all the hijab-wearing Muslims in the background, and he is playing to that because that's where the demographic winds are blowing in the West, and I think he's trying to get a piece of it.
Incredible, though, in New York that he would do that, because, you would think if you were advising him, you'd ask him to shy away from that, but that's what I'm saying. He is so bold and confident about where he's headed that he's not shying away from any of that. Now, the media remain obsessed with this absurd notion that Donald Trump is going to serve a third term. They're taking the memes and jokes seriously. Listen to this exchange suggesting Donald Trump will try to remain in the White House by being vice president.
Theory on how you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsels or your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't do that. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It wouldn't be right.
Marco Rubio's got a very good poker face. He's not letting anything out there. I mean, really, if they were concerned about people serving third and fourth terms, I might look at the influence Barack Obama had on the Biden White House. What do you see here? I mean, I think the Republicans are Trump's Republicans now. I think if J.D. Vance is the candidate, so much of what he does is in the Donald Trump mould. So he doesn't need to be there for his influence to linger.
He doesn't need to. He has completely remade the party. It started as a hijack, that's what they used to say, to just a rebuilding. The Congress still doesn't have enough of the populist types. There's maybe 5 or 6. I would say a lot of the establishment people are still in there. That takes a few cycles to renew. But that is where the trend is. That movement is ascendant. There's JD. Even people like Marco, who originally were of the establishment, have all pivoted. All these mainstream people, Mandani, all of these people, they're not all perfect, but they're generally following in his footsteps and sort of the populist vision. I think, it's funny because the OG of the multiple terms was their favorite FDR, Democrat president. As you mentioned, Obama had this shadow presidency, was widely regarded. Maybe Trump could do that. He's got plenty of property there and everywhere, stick around. But it would be funny. He'll never do this. It would be funny. There is one president who, I think it was one of the Adams, second Adams, that went back into Congress after the presidency. If he ran for Congress in Florida and then was always in there forever, just like stoking the media and doing all that, it'd be so funny. But he has bigger things to go.
I think he's finally entitled to retirement. Yes. and maybe just some games of golf without having to worry about peace deals and geopolitics and everything else.
He's earned it.
Who do you see as the front runner? JD Vance, to me, is just a natural successor. I see 8 years of him in the White House, but they actually have an embarrassment of riches. They've got Ron DeSantis, who is a very capable candidate, obviously Governor of Florida. Marco Rubio is doing an excellent job and, again, very well regarded by the Republican base. Anything I've missed there? There's quite a few other contenders who are also on the...
Yeah, I think those are the big names. It could be somebody outside of politics, people... I hate to say it, actually, because I know everybody's mind will go in one place, but there are young people that are just great at doing battle. People always talked about Charlie, but even others in that mold you could see as well. Just because what he has done is he has taught people how to fight. He's completely figured out a way to go around the mainstream media, which makes it more accessible. So there could even be somebody outside of government that we don't quite think about today, but is just one orbit outside and could jump in.
Well, that's a very good point. And there's also talk about Donald Trump Jr. being the next one up. And I think there's people already having bets on Barron Trump being president one day.
There you go. He's only 18 years old.
He's only 18, but possibly destined for great things. Now, before you go, Argentina's libertarian president, Javier Milei, has won decisive victories in the midterm elections. And I think it's time we revisited one of the all-time great Javier Milei rants. His was delivered before he was elected.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que, digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea,
vos mezclás...
No, pero es que si pensás...
Pero
si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte.
No, you can't give them an inch, Kosha. You cannot give them an inch. They will kill you. They almost killed Argentina. You look at what happened to Argentina over several decades, this once prosperous, proud nation on its knees. And the way it's bounced back under Milei is astonishing. And again, these midterm results are an endorsement of what he's been able to achieve.
I think it's that one, and it's his chainsaw when he was taking the chainsaw to the government. Those are the two. Such a great example, like a cautionary tale for the whole world of how such a rich, prosperous nation completely tanked in just such a short period of time. And then also how you can come back from it. And inflation was like north of 200% before him. And it's now down to 40%, very, very high, but it's trending in the right direction. I think it's going to be 30% by the end of this year, projections say. GDP was in a recession, GDP growth, it's now 5-6% even. It's growing. Their currency was so devalued against the dollar, it's appreciated something like 40%. So all those things are going in the right direction. Still a long way to go. Unemployment is high. Real wages haven't grown. Poverty is tough because you can't turn those things around instantly.
Absolutely.
But it is incredible. And I think many governments from other prosperous nations that are faltering, like ours and others, can take note.